up at the Players' Championship. Also has a standard open win in Washington, D.C. earlier this year. He's been hot.
Yes.
To say the least. It's a swamp, and it's a Thoughtseize to get round number 4 underway. For Fear, he's got to stoke the flames, a Lightning Strike, Soulfire Grandmaster, a Mantis Rider. Let's make it 2 Lightning Strikes to go along with 2 Flooded Strands.
Pretty powerful opening hand here for Harlan, but this is the type of hand where Thoughtseize can be very good. Gerard can take a threat out of this hand, kill Harlan's first play, and strand him with a bunch of burn spells, with Gerard at a pretty high life total.
You see that Fabiano is playing Jund to mid-range. That is correct. That's what he's up to. He does have some Caryatids over here, some removal and 3 Heroes Downfall, 3 Murders Cut, 4 Thoughtseizes, 4 Coursers, of course. 3 copies of Outpost Siege to tie the room together. Maybe that's his card drawing engine for the weekend. Some one-ofs as well, because he does have 2 copies of Sidisi Undead Vizier. Fear with a Mystic Monastery. And we go back Fabiano's way.
Gerard's playing some one-ofs because of Sidisi. I think Gerard's playing some one-ofs because Gerard just plays with a lot of one-ofs.
Well, Sidisi is just an excuse.
Yeah.
That's all. That's how he covers it up.
I wasn't going to play with all these one-offs, but I guess with Sidisi in the deck, I guess you've twisted my arm here.
There's a Courser of Grufix. Top card is a copy of Outpost Siege. We'll head back Fear's way. Fear will sacrifice that Flooded Strand. We've got an Islander or Plains coming here in just a moment. Fabiano's sideboard is a real hoot too, so I can't wait till we get to that. It's got a lot going on here. And we laugh, but Gerard's been doing things his own way his entire career, and it has clearly worked.
Oh yeah, no, I've spoken at length about this, about Gerard's deck building styles. Slowly but surely, Magic has moved more and more in the direction of the way he builds his decks. A lot more 1-ofs and 2-ofs, and just odd sideboarding numbers and such. But 10 years ago, it was way outside the box to do the way that Gerard does now. Slowly but surely, people do it more and more like Gerard does.
It's Mantis Rider time. That'll, of course, fly over the Courser of Grufix. Fabiano will take 3. He's down at 15. And for Gerard, the draw step will be an Outpost Siege. The top card of the deck is a Satyr Wayfinder. 3 copies of that card in his deck this weekend. Llanowar Waste will allow Fabiano to gain a life. And now here's Whip of Erebos. So he's going to get all that life right back. Mantis Rider, of course, will block, but the life leak will still occur. We'll get back Fear's way. Mountain the draw.
And if you're Harlan, that's not a draw step you're looking on Gerard's side there, that Wayfinder. You don't know exactly what could get going there, but with Whip of Erebos in play, Harlan can't remove it from the table game 1. He's now at the mercy of the top of Gerard's deck.
At the very least, Fabiano was missing a color as he drew Outpost Siege and didn't play it.
But that's also very much subject to change.
Yeah. There's Stoke the Flames. There's Mystic Monastery and passing the turn. Satyr Wayfinder the draw. Wayfinder will be cast here in just a moment. So we'll take a look at the top 4 cards. Sylvan Caryatid, Nurboard, Llanowar Waste, and a Thoughtseize. So still no red mana here for Fabiano. He does have options for lands, however.
And no help with the Whip of Erebos either.
Mm-hmm.
Only a Caryatid, which is not the juiciest target to be recurring with Whip of Erebos.
To say the least.
And Gerard's got to find either a big play or an answer to the Mantis Rider very soon, because he knows from that initial Thoughtseize, Harlan with a lot of burn spells in hand.
The Urborg is a selection off the Satyr Wayfinder. He'll play that as his land and just pass the turn back over to Fear. Looks like Lightning Strike the draw. Here comes Mantis Rider yet again. And Fabiano down to 12. Fear might have enough burn spells to get the job done here. He'll start with a Thunderbreak Regent and simply pass the turn back. Fabiano's going to untap and take a draw here. But Fabiano having some real mana issues right now. Satyr Wayfinder coming in. Thunderbreak Regent's going to block. Fabiano, of course, making that attack to gain a life. He's going to go up to 13.
And I wasn't a huge fan of the block there, because the 1 damage probably doesn't matter. But what's likely happening here is Gerard just needs to get a creature into the graveyard for the Whip of Erebos. I think Harlan's slightly better served just leaving it in play.
Courser comes down, finds a Wooded Foothills. That'll trigger. That'll gain Fabiano a life. He's back up to 14. He's going to have to gain a whole lot more life than that, though. He's facing 7 damage in the air, and there are 3 Lightning Strikes in Fear's hand. Fear will untap. A land that enters the battlefield untapped will get the job done. That is a copy of Shivan Reef, so I think that might just be about it here. Is there 7 damage in the air? We'll see if Fabiano does have a removal spell. Looks like he does not. I think we're going upstairs, Patrick.
Yep.
Not once, not twice, but how about 3 times? Fabiano going to take a look at his Outpost Siege. Some of the other cards in his hand, but I think that should end this one, unless Gerard has something creative, which he oftentimes does.
Love the euphemism creative. Yes, it would take something pretty creative here.
Well, he does love a card like Feed the Clans.
Yep.
But he doesn't have something creative here, so he will concede the game. Harlan Fear going to win game number 1 here over Gerard Fabiano. Jeskai Aggro quickly up a game here over Jund midrange as we take a look at the sideboards, and we will start with Gerard and his 1 Nissa Worldwaker, a single Duress, a Hero's Downfall, 3 Bile Blights, 2 Drown in Sorrow, a Doomwake Giant, a Farika God of Affliction, 2 Reclamation Sage, 1 Dragon Lord Culligan, and then 2 Read the Bones.
Just all I want here is removal. The Bile Blights, the additional copy of Hero's Downfall, maybe Drown in Sorrow, but probably not. And I think the 1 copy of Duress can also pretty safely come in here. Harlan's got a lot of spells. The life total matters, and Thoughtseize is, not ideal because of that. Also, you can anticipate Harlan's bringing in probably counter spells of his own. Most of these decks have Disdainful Strokes and Negates in the sideboard, so I think the 1 Duress is good for Gerard to bring in.
Let's go Harlan's way. What does he have?
2 Erase, 3 copies of Disdainful Stroke, 2 Valorous Stance, 2 Draconic Roar, 2 Negate, a Glare of Heresy, 2 copies of Anger of the Gods, 1 Dig Through Time. Like the Dig Through Time a lot, like the 2 Negates. It's possible that Harlan brings in a bunch of erases because Gerard's deck looks like a Whip and Erebos deck, even though it has only the 1 Whip. And he's also seen Courser. So even though we know Gerard's list and we know that Erase isn't very good, based on the cards that we saw, Harlan may elect to bring it in. Disdainful Stroke as well.
These players will get ready here for game number 2 in just a moment. We will discuss, of course, the Star City Games Winter Creature Collection. Winter's almost over, so I think we'll have a spring line coming soon, but you still got a chance to get these.
Yeah, you see the Mammoth, the Rat, the Wolf, and the Eternal Witness, all available on card sleeves, playmats, and dice bags. You can head over to starcitygames.com/creature collection to order your items today, or head over to the dealer booth at any Open we're running or any Grand Prix we're vending at.
I love myself an Eternal Witness.
It's a good joke, good pun. I'm down. And the Wolf, the Rat, and the Mammoth all part of the Winter Creature Collection.
I'm a Turtle Witness fan. I'm a guy. I think we need one for every collection we do. Mm-hmm. One of them has to include a pun. I think that's the trick.
That probably makes sense, right? Because we do 4 seasons. There's only 3 months in the season, obviously. We have our 3 creature collection tokens. So we plug those right in our game night tokens.
Yep.
And then we need a 4th one to kind of round out the roster. And that will probably be a pun creature, like the Eternal Witness.
Just makes sense.
Right, just makes sense.
It's easy stuff to do. So we'll see what they come up with. Because, again, we're kept out of the loop. We don't know.
We don't.
What's coming.
Surprisingly out of the loop, actually. I would say if I had to put an adjective there.
Which you do.
I guess adverb. Excuse me, an adverb. Be surprisingly.
I wasn't going to police your grammar or use of words there. I was just going to let it go. Because I'm a nice guy.
Did you know that was an adverb, not an adjective?
Decline to comment.
Unfortunately, for those of you viewing at home, you cannot see Cedric's face when
I always have a smile. I always have a smile. I'm a happy guy. I talk about magic for a living. This smile has nothing to do with me not knowing the difference between an adjective and an adverb. It has nothing to do with that at all. I'm smiling because I love watching Gerard and Harlan play Magic. I don't like what you're implying right now.
You are the editor, right? That's also part of your, if I understand.
Where are you going with this? Where are you going with this?
Nowhere, man. We're good.
I don't understand what you're trying to accomplish right now.
Nothing. Just unrelated question.
Game 2 about to be underway between Gerard Fabiano and Harlan Fear.
Oh, yeah. This job is great.
Gerard gonna keep. Temple of Malady is how he'll start. My goodness. Mantis Rider the draw here for Harlan. He'll play a Mystic Monastery, pass the turn back. Temple of Malice here for Fabiano. Top card to the bottom, we head back Harlan's way. See what turn 2 brings here for Fear. He'll just play a Flooded Strand, pass the turn back. Looks like Fabiano with much better mana this go-around.
Yep, has access to all 3 colors early, which he didn't have last game.
A couple temples to smooth things out.
Yep.
No real complaints here. Top card of the deck is a land in a swamp. Fear going to sacrifice his Flooded Strand, get himself an island, go down to 19 in the process.
Might be seeing a Valorous stance here.
Perhaps. And we do. Courser's gone. Harlan on tap and take a draw. Temple of Triumph. Very quickly going to sacrifice that Flooded Strand. I think we might have another Mantis Rider here.
And talk about good draws. You know, Harlan here, a way to break serve on the draw. Very valuable here. And then a good follow-up third if he has the Mantis Rider. Goblin Rabblemaster would also be good in this spot.
He's got the flyer. He's coming across for 3. Fabiano down to 17. Mantis Rider 2. Immediately just puts you to the test of you better have something. Here's a Courser. Temple of Abandon coming in. Trigger the Courser up to 18. We'll take a look at the top card here in just a moment. It's a Swamp. We know Fabiano has one of those in his hand. That Swamp's going to the bottom. Top card now is a Forest. We head back Fear's way. A Valor stands to draw here for Harlan. He'll start with a Temple. Temple of Triumph, to be exact. It was actually looking at another copy of Temple of Triumph, which Fear puts to the bottom. There's an attack for 3. Fabiano down to 15.
Pretty loaded hand here for Harlan. Another Valorous stance, Stoke, Storm Breaths. This is a really good hand.
We might see him stop Fabiano on the draw step, but we won't. Here's Nurboard, trigger. Carry at it on top. Don't have a great look at Fabiano's hand at this point. We know there's 2 lands over there, so he needs some action.
I think at this point, Harlan's willing to say, the course is in play, it's not really doing any blocking here, and I want to save my removal spells for larger threats, or my burn spells to try to finish out the game. Or my Valorous Stance can also be used to protect my Mantis Rider. So a slightly unorthodox play, but given Harlan's hand here, I can see just saying, yeah, the Courser sticks, I'm going to try to fight some over some other stuff.
Sidisi.
And this is really nice too, because I think Gerard's doing this anticipating that, well, Harlan doesn't have a removal spell for the Courser because he would have just used it.
So if Fabiano will do is he has to lose the Sidisi here now. Won't exploit. Doesn't get the tutor for anything. Because if the DC's not in play when the exploit resolves, nothing happens.
Yep.
So Fear's patience paying off.
Though it is a little bit interesting because it feels like, you know, at that point maybe you just take care of the Courser, because what's a 4/6 Death Toucher on the ground really worth? The Courser's gaining life and potentially allowing Gerard to draw some extra cards, but the race is also much different if Sidisi's in play.
This is true.
Not, so.
Top card of the deck is Read the Bones. Not a great situation to be casting or drawing that card. Force will come in, that'll trigger.
And the Read the Bones are out of the sideboard too, which I'm a little surprised by, because I think that Gerard would basically have just gone to the removal in this matchup and not much else. And Read the Bones is not looking very attractive on this board.
Yeah, I think Gerard felt that maybe he could control things a little bit better. And he just hasn't been able to do that because Mantis Rider has caused so much trouble. Now here is Sidisi yet again. Stoke the Flames is going to go after Courser of Crucifix. Now this is going to put Fabiano to a test of, okay, my Courser's gone. Do I want to sacrifice my Sidisi to tutor for something?
And Gerard might feel compelled just to shuffle his deck here because he's trying to Read the Bones next turn if nothing else.
He's in the old Tankaroo. I think Gerard wants to make sure he knows exactly how Sidisi does work too, so. It's kind of this weird tutor effect where it can sacrifice itself. But he will do that.
You're not really looking to pay 5 mana for Diabolic Tutor here. Not a great rate, but Gerard just needs to find something that impacts the board and can't afford to draw Read the Bones next turn anyway.
Yeah. And we saw Jacob Wilson actually kind of make this play where he searched up for a Murderous Cut, and Gerard conveniently has 4 cards in his graveyard. He has an Urborg in play, so it might not look like that Temple of Abandon can tap for black mana, but it can. And now he can Murderous Cut that Mantis Rider, and a little bit of breathing room would be nice.
Yep, though Harlan does have a good follow-up here. He has another threat to add to the table here in Stormbreath Dragon.
Yep, and he's going to add it real quick, and you can see Gerard kind of shrug his shoulders. Now that's interesting, because I'm almost positive Gerard did search up Murderous Cut and didn't cast it that turn. Maybe he forgot about his Urborg being in play, maybe didn't search for Murderous Cut, could be wrong.
Well, the tapping was very intentional, because even if Urborg is just a swamp in your head, he had other black sources of mana in play.
Yeah.
You know, he could have just cast other stuff. I mean, is there a sweeper that Gerard could have searched for here that he's trying to set up?
There is a sweeper-esque card that he could search up, and the card is Dragonlord Atarka.
So maybe, yeah, he wants to Dragonlord this turn and then save the Murderous Cut?
Mm-hmm. Now, that may have been the card that he did search up. By the way, Dragonlord Atarka is here. It takes care of the Stormbreath Dragon. Unfortunately for Fabiano, Fear does have a Valorous Stance in hand to get the Dragonlord Atarka off of the table. I think Dragonlord Atarka, the big plan was to stabilize with this old beast. The Valorous Stance is going to take care of that. Here comes Mantis Rider. Fabiano's down to 4.
And Harlan now with Lightning Strike and Dig Through Time as the leftovers, too. It's going to be very hard for Gerard to get out of this. Gerard doing the slow roll myself draw usually means he needs help.
The classic.
Classic.
Taking a long look at that hand, trying to figure out how he can get out of this situation. Both games, Mantis Rider has been very impressive against Fabiano's deck.
It's just been a little slow out of the gates. Hasn't been armed with a downfall on time. And as such, has just taken too much damage. Because his deck's not very good at blocking flyers. You know, he's really leaning on Murderous Cut and downfall to get him out of spots like this.
That is a Sylvan Caryatid. And just a passing of the turn. Here's Dig Through Time. Take a look at 7 of them. There's another Dig Through Time in there, a Thunderbreak Regent, Negate, Disdainful Stroke. A lot of nice options here for Fear.
Yeah, I think probably Negate, Thunderbreak Regent would be my selections, but there's a lot of different ways to go.
It looks like he's going to have 2 counter spells, Negate and Disdainful Stroke.
That's fine too. I mean, the risk here is that if Gerard goes, all right, now still at your end step, kill your Mantis Rider. It looks like he went with Negate and Dig Through Time. And Dig Through Time is a pretty good insurance policy in the event that Gerard has a removal spell, because you can just gas back up.
There's Murderous Cut. Take care of the Mantis Rider. Erase was the draw.
Not surprising to see Harlan bring in the Erase based on what we saw last game. But as we know, it's actually not very good against Gerard's deck.
Yeah, you saw Whip of Erebos and Courtier of Kruphix
Yeah,
last game.
it look and Seder Wayfinder. I mean, it looks like a Whip of Erebos deck. It's not really the case here.
There's Courser. Top card is a Read the Bones. Yuck. Llanowar Waste will bring Fabiano up to 5. Gerard's trying to hang on here against a deck that has a lot of burn in it. And there's a Lightning Strike in hand right now.
And Gerard, you know, drawing Read the Bones again next turn.
There's a race for the Courser.
Not really a card he can cast.
Now it's time to dig. Firo gets a look at 7 of them yet again. Take 2. That's 6 lands and a Thunderbreak Regent.
I mean, even when your Dig Through Times are bad, they're still good.
Yeah. That's how good that card is. I'll take Thunderbreak Regent and a Temple of Triumph. Not going to fire up that Lightning Strike just yet. Shivan Reef is the draw. There's a Temple. Take a look at that top card. Leave it on top very quickly. Now it's a Thunderbreak Regent. Fabiano on tap. He's drawing Read the Bones. And unfortunately for Gerard, I think he's casting Read the Bones. And as he reaches down to pick up the one card that he dropped, I think we will see a lightning strike in response here. Or perhaps we'll just let him resolve it first. Either way, Fabiano's going to go down to 3.
There's almost no getting out of this,
Yeah.
I think, if you're in Gerard's spot here, but I still think Harlan should have cast Lightning Strike in response because Gerard could find some weird mixture of life gain cards, and you might end up having to respond to something, and then he plays an instant response. And I think Harlan's hand's too good, and Gerard's just too low to get out of this, but in general, I think in that spot, you're just supposed to cast Lightning Strike in response.
A little too cute.
Yeah, it's
I
just,
think.
It's a little fancy.
There's Thoughtseize.
This will probably get out the Lightning Strike, I would imagine.
I think so. Yeah, I'll lightning strike you. All right, that will do it. Harlan Fear is going to win this match over Gerard Fabiano, 2-0. Jeskai Aggro will take care of Jund mid-range. And the deck that the people picked for Gerard didn't get it done this time.
Some stumbles and